People deluded, I'm back again. I've got Kenny Ken and DJB in the building. How you lot doing, man? You look good?
All good. Yeah, all good, DJ.
Hey, you're wearing a vest as well, man. I was about to...
It's hot, man. It's the hottest day in the United Kingdom today, I think, man. It's boiling. I had to take my jumper off, man. I'm dying.
Hey, you
I
know
don't know how DJB's all kitted out, man. How you not boiling and dying in all that jacket and all that trouble, man?
No, it's just a thin
start
top.
going my chair, man, because this sun is too much, man.
It's boiling, man, and I've got lights on as well. I'm dying. But we got a lot to discuss, man. We got to speak about Chelsea. We got to speak about Madrid. I want to actually start with something unpopular. Now, it's kind of cool for us, including myself, to ask questions of Arteta. But for you two, what has he done well so far at Arsenal, whether it be this season or his tenure so far?
Well, I mean, let's face it. I mean, he's got us back competing. I mean, when he came in, you know, he had to get rid of a lot of dead wood at the club, and there was players that didn't fit his kind of mould or criteria how he wanted to play. So he established that, and he done a lot of work there. And it was that sort of, you know, era like COVID and stuff like that he came in. So he had that to deal with during the COVID period and getting the crowd back in the stadium. And in my eyes, he done well to galvanise the crowd and get a lot of fans kind of the feel-good factor back in the ground again. So on the surface of on what he's done there, he's done, you know, he's earned his stripes there. Unfortunately, now is in football, memories are short, and it's what you do from now on that's key. And he seems to have kind of reached his level, if you like.
Hit glass ceiling.
Yeah. And although we've been finishing runners up and we've played some good football during those seasons, you now got to start asking questions. What's the next step? What's the next chapter? Where can I see now all the hard work you've done? Where can I now see that going forward? And if you look at going forward, I mean, you've only got to look at what comes off the bench and the squad in depth. You know, I'm used to players coming off the bench that are kind of match winners, you know. And if you look at our bench and you're looking towards the manager to change something up, and you're thinking, well, what options have you built? What options have you built in your tenure here at the club? You know, there's no real match winners coming off of that bench and actually getting bums off seats.
How many match winners are in our starting 11?
Exactly. So you have to then look at what he's built now. And to me, all the work that he has done, it's now becoming very, very stale, and it's becoming kind of unfolded.
So I'm reveling.
Yeah, it is, man. I mean, you know, you look at the strike force that we've got. I've never known it. I've never known an Arsenal team that's so lackluster in attack than what we are now. And, you know, you can go on about injuries and red cards. As I said before, injuries don't help any team. But when you start every season and you do your risk assessment on players and seasons and what you've done, you have to factor in injuries. So when you start fresh, you factor in injuries, and you then have to build blocks to compensate for those things. There is no way any team's going to go through a whole season without any injuries. So that's something that should have been addressed, you know, this season. It should have been addressed last season, to be fair, to get us over that line. And now I think what we're seeing now, we're just seeing the squad getting diminished. And if you look at the body language of Arteta, I mean, if you was to ignore what's going on the pitch and just home in on the manager, like sometimes I do, and I look at the manager in key moments, like when we was 1-0 down against West Ham, for example, and I homed in on the manager, and you can see his body language. He's not as confident now as he was last season.
Don't have the answers.
Well, yeah, he seems to be kind of desperate, you know, and when he goes in the press conference, you know, when he goes into the press after the games, you can see him stressing out and wondering what questions he's going to get asked and how he's going to deal with these questions. And that, to me, is not a manager that at the moment is confident in going forward. And then he's now got the added additions of players' contracts running down. He's got that hurdle to climb. He's got key player contracts running down. You know, your Sakas, Salibas, Gabriels. So he's got that now to sort out. And what the Arsenal fans have got to realise, this is a guy that's learned on the job. He's not coming from previous experience. He's not faced pressures of missing out on league titles, missing out on cups, transfers, big players. Yeah, and this is what worries me. So, in a lot of the things that he's done when he first come to the club, you have to say, yeah, you know, hats off to him. You know, he was a young manager coming in. He was no experience. It was the COVID period. He won the FA Cup, albeit it weren't his squad. And so there are definitely tick boxes when he took over. And it's definitely what Arsenal fans needed at the time. But life is short in football. It's where it is now. We've had a little taste of it. We now need to actually digest it and eat it and lift the trophy and get it over.
Do you think he's dying by the high standards he set then, allegedly, DJB, just to be devil's advocate?
Well, depending on the when you say high standards, yeah, I think in
terms of getting us back in the title race and quote unquote challenging.
Yeah, for me, I think I think there's a time on any manager at a club. You know, you ain't going to get you're not going to get the Arsene Wengers and the Alex Fergusons 10, 15, 20 years at a club now.
And you shouldn't if you're not winning serious stuff.
Yeah, no, them days are gone, and I do believe at any club, I do believe 5-6 years is about the max for any manager. You know, if he's successful and he's winning FA Cups and Premierships and finals, there may be a way you can give him an extra couple of years or something like that. But when you've got a manager that's kind of spending lots of money. It's one of the weakest squads that I've seen in many years. I mean, our strength is our defence, and that proves that. If you look at the stats this season and last season, our defence is still the strongest part of this team. I still think there's a lot of work to do in midfield. I still think there's a lot of work to do, definitely in the forward line.
100%.
So, you know, how much patience do we need to have? You know, and if
that's the age-old question.
Yeah. See, and what I've said before, if you're not careful, the long-term damage is going to be even harder. So the next manager comes in, if it, you know, picking up the pieces, Saliba might not be at the club, Gabriel might not be at the club. And suddenly you ain't only now got to worry about building a midfield and a strike force. You've now got to worry about
several areas.
Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. So, you know, it is worrying. And I thought last summer was a big window, but this summer is like double glazing type firm. You know, it's like massive. It's like hundreds.
But got it all to do, man.
It's and you got to look at it as well. This guy's had a lot of opportunities. He's had a lot of windows to build a squad that's big enough and good enough.
Some people say the board let him down, man.
I
don't know how far that goes, because
I honestly believe that the board is excuses. To be honest with you, I've said this before on many streams. every single fan across the land will moan about their owners, that they're not doing this, the stadium's not good enough, the training facilities ain't good enough, they're not spending enough money here, they're not spending
100%.
enough money there. But you have to look at what Arteta's had, and Arteta's had a lot of money to go into this campaign strong enough to give us confidence that we may be able to get something from Real Madrid. He's had long enough now for us to go into the Real Madrid game thinking, yeah, we've got a really, really good chance. I fancy us.
Do you really? Because I'm nervous.
Every fan, if they was to put their hand on their heart, knows that we probably haven't got a chance of beating Real Madrid over two legs.
We've got Marino up front.
Now, I as I said, and really, for how long this guy's had and the money he's had, we should be going into the Real Madrid game thinking we've got a chance. He's had long enough to give us that chance. To me, he's had long enough. But done some good things, but now's the time to deliver. Now's the time to absolutely deliver. So we will see, my friend. We will see.
We will, man. Kenny, has Arteta done any good?
I've taken myself a minute. The thing with Mikel Arteta is that, regardless of the good or bad, 6 years is about enough for a manager. I think especially this manager as well, to the extent that he's been given enough time to get his own players in. He's given more than ample time to, develop a style of play, to evolve it as well. And not only has he been given enough time to get his players, he's been given enough time to get his spine in. Now, you can look at the development and look at the improvements from 2022 when we should have got into the top four. We definitely challenged for the title, but we couldn't get over the line. A lot of that is down to us, our fault in itself. Second season responded really well, but we kind of missed the boat in terms of winning the title. Because I always say, if you in your second season challenge and you have to win the title, because the third season is just as hard, because in the third season teams tend to work you out. There's no doubt,
as we're seeing,
there's no doubt he has to take credit for the development of Gabriel Magalhaes defensively. He's got to take credit for the fact that he finally made the right decision on the goalkeeper with Ramsdale. He probably going to, take some credit, although I think he probably should have brought Saliba back into the fold a lot earlier, but it's worked out for him because, if you look at how Arsenal improved defensively in terms of like being a team that doesn't concede much, got many, many goals, Saliba has been a catalyst for that, so he will take a bit of credit from that. So in that respect, teams do fear Arsenal, but unfortunately, the problem he's going to always have is that he's going to find it very difficult to be amongst the sort of top echelons of top managers at Arsenal or top managers in Europe, because he hasn't won anything. He hasn't won anything significant, and that's the thing. That's the criteria in order to be remembered as a great. The same with our players. Some people compare Saliba and Gabriel to Adams and Bold. Well, you can't compare them because one is different era. Most importantly, they're in an era where there's not many attackers. Like when Bold and Adams were in their pomp in the 80s, they had Ian Rush, players like that, Gary Lineker when he was at Spurs, great strikers. And in the 90s, they had Collymore, Shearer, Ferdinand, Fowler, those sort of players. And also Martin Owen was starting to, like I said, come into his fruition. Obviously, you had Terry Sheringham as well, Collymore, all great strikers who, and some could have gone on to be England regulars. Our modern defenders don't have that. One thing they do is have organisation, but you can't call them greats. Sorry, Kwame. Andy Cole as well, superb player, should get his flowers. I don't know why he doesn't, but yeah, sorry about leaving Andy Cole out. But Dwight York as well. But one thing I would say is you can't compare him to Adams and Bold because they ain't won anything. Now this is where it gets worse for Mikel Arteta because he's in his now 6 years of management, and we've still got gaping holes in our spine of the team.
Still not replace Xhaka or Aubameyang, really and truly. Still got the same issues on the left.
He's not in the numbers. He's entitled to, say he doesn't need Aubameyang. If Aubameyang's trying to engineer a move to, which he did. He tried to engineer a move to Chelsea during that season when we won the FA Cup in 2020. That's documented. It's a fact. He will admit it himself. And a lot of Arsenal fans don't want to admit that because they love Aubameyang. That's right. But I have to say, it's true. But one thing about Mikel is that we still haven't got a proper left back. Everyone talks about Myles Lewis-Skelly, but he's only been in the team 5 minutes. He's not a long-term issue. We still need someone in the mould of Nuno Mendes of PSG. He's the sort of left back we need, who can defend, bring the ball out of defence, and he can get up and down. That's sort of left back. We still haven't got that. We've got Calafiori, for me, who's not a left back.
Train wreck defensively at the moment, if I'm honest.
Yeah, the left-hand side as well, attacking is embarrassing. It's so bad. It's inconsistent. It's not great. Trossard is a good player, but he's not a great player.
He's a bench
Martinelli is a useful player.
Trossard reminds me of Shaqiri at Liverpool. Do you remember 4 years ago when he had that different option? That's what he reminds me of.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Trossard just come across like that. And obviously Martinelli as well is dropped off a bit. So that's an era that he doesn't look at. And two,
and we've known that for 2 years, really, with Martinelli.
Yeah. But when he has been given money, spend really big money, he spent £65 million on Kai Havertz. If you buy a striker, which Arsenal fans, where are you going to pay Kai? Because you can't play midfield.
That's what they were saying in the summer as well last year.
You know what I mean? So where are you going to pay Kai? So that's £65 million that's questionable. The Declan Rice thing, obviously, is my pet subject. The reason why is because he's not a number 6, but everyone says he's a number 6. So these are decisions that Mikel Arteta has got close to the finish line, but he's kind of botched up because he hasn't managed to find a system to play this play. But one thing, right, Marley Mankabara, you need to listen before you make decisions. Yes, our reputations do precede us. Mine reputation precedes us. DJB's reputation precedes us. And so has Aaron's reputation precedes us. But the fact is, if you listened and gave us a chance, we've all talked about the good things Mikel's done. And I know Aaron's going to back that. But this is a balanced show where we're in a 6th year where Mikel hasn't won anything. And I'm getting to the fact that one of the reasons why Mikel always struggle to, win people like me over is he's very stubborn. His style of play is very rigid. Not only his style of play is very rigid, the personnel, there's only certain personnel who can play that way in his mind, which means you lead to burnout and serious injury, which we've had. And we're not talking about impact injuries where someone's done a 2-footed tackle or a mistimed tackle.
Got hamstring knocks.
These are muscle injuries, which is down to exertion. He has to take responsibility for that. And also in the transfer market as well, this season he was found wanting. The power he had, well, he didn't use it properly because he didn't have the balls to make decisions in order, i.e., to get a big name out in order to get 3 big names in. He bottled it and he got rid of players that were never part of his plans anyway. So it didn't solve the problem, the big problem, and get big money for our players. And that's where Mikel's gone wrong, in my opinion. But you know what? There's only a matter of time where fans, you included, sir, are going to accept us not winning trophies. In fact, you're going to get bored of us not winning things. And I promise you that will happen.
How can you not be bored already? Especially as for me, what annoys me, before I let Aaron say his 2 pence on this year, what annoys me is people are very quick to say, Mikel Arteta is great, our players are great, defensively we're great, best team of 2024, and the rest of it. But then you don't want to hold the team to those same high standards. Like, you can't have it both ways. But people are going to have selective hearing. Aaron, what have you made of Mikel Arteta, the good, bad, the ugly? Because I've never actually got to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, no, it's cool, man. Yes, it's been a bit underwhelming for me. Well, massively underwhelming. Look, he come in after 6 months and, playing pragmatic football, he got the job done. And we think, all right, yeah, sweet, this geezer's played a very good Manchester City team. And because of Aubameyang, we beat him 2-0, at Wembley in that semi-final. I was at the final as well in 20. No, I wasn't. I wasn't at the final. So I'm thinking of a different final. But either way, Aubameyang then wins us that final, and you think, all right, sweet. He's got past a really tough Sheffield United team away as well. Don't forget. Now they were actually flying that season. So in the first 6 months, you're thinking, okay, maybe this guy's got something about him. Let's go into next season then. Let's give him a summer. He buys the Tomiyasu, who's just totally absent. He buys Ramsdale, though he wanted Raya. We eventually sold Ramsdale, and again, we don't make a profit. You got the Ben Whites he's bought as a centre back, but the only reason he's at right back now is because Saliba comes back. So he's got proven track record really of not getting a lot of signings right. And let's not forget as well, this is the man that said that he has the final say. So we go through the season, knocked out on all the cup competitions very, very, very early, and we finish 8th. And at that point, you think, okay, well, look, this ain't really great, is it? But he's got a bit of credit in the bank. I can see why people are sort of saying, give him another year. He ain't got his full team or this or all that. So I can sort of understand giving him that next year. But then we have that season where we all know it, where we lost. We was actually, I think, a few points ahead of Antonio Conte's Tottenham at that time. And, we ended up losing 3-0 and being absolutely embarrassed to Spurs, really. And, we bottle that top 5, and I'll sit there and think this is just unacceptable here now. I want a bit of a change. And then, of course, he all surprises us the following season. Look, we all know it. We went out, and this is the only real time, I think, for a sustained period under Mikel Arteta. Boys, I've got a season ticket. I know Kenny, DJB has. I'm not too sure about you if you do, DG. But we was going there to every single game and blowing teams away in the first 10, 15 minutes.
Playing some really attractive football, man.
Yeah. And I'm leaving that stadium thinking, all right, is this what we sort of all waited for here? Maybe this was it. And, we carry on doing it. We go out the cups early. Nathan Aki doing us in the FA Cup at the Etihad. Can't remember who we went out to in the League Cup that year. But it weren't past the 4th round, I don't believe. But yeah, we get there. And then towards the end, Saliba. And this is one of the points I wanted to make as well, Bill Saliba, that injury really cost us. Possibly the league that year. We'll never know. But do you know what disappoints me about that Bill Saliba injury? That was 2 years ago, and we still haven't signed a right-sided centre-back. That cost us the league. And we're sort of going, of any chance of
we
going
know how
around
injuries can derail us as well going into this year. But go on, bro.
This is my point. Do you know what I mean? And if you've got Saliba that's out injured again, Gabriel ain't the same. We've all seen it when Saliba pulled up. I think he had an injury or something at this season. Gabriel ain't the same without his mate there. So all of a sudden, you've got a knock-on effect across that whole defence when just Bill Saliba's there. And you haven't addressed that for 2 years. And it's not just that position that we're not addressing. So Mikel Arteta, he's either not learning or leaving it way too long to learn from his mistakes. And unfortunately, when you're the University of Arsenal that hire freshers as their managers, he's learning on the job. And unfortunately, we're kind of expecting a little bit more than, just a geezer on work experience. He's 5 years into it now, half a decade, boys, over half a decade into his tenure. We spent over £750 million. There are questions that the Cronkies could have backed him a little bit more. But I tell you what, with all of that money spent in that time, I think I expected a little bit more from him.
Should be more bang for our buck, 100%.
Exactly right. And then to go back to what DJ says, and I say the thing the whole time as well, we will always with this season stem straight back into this summer transfer window, because as I wrote in that chat, I wanted a lot of them gone. That's fair enough. So before anyone pulls me up on it, we let Nelson go, a forward player. We let Eddie go, a forward player. We let ESR go, an attacking player, and obviously Fabio Vieira back on loan. Spent 35 million quid and he ends up going back for free 2 years later, by the way. Poor transfer. The point I'm trying to make is, you think you wanted a bigger squad from last season. You've let 4 forward-minded players go, and you've signed a centre-back that can't really defend. And Marino now, who's, He's not really it. We all put our hands up. And you sit there and think, that was such a pivotal transfer window, that, where you think, you are getting that little bit closer to Manchester City. And we've all seen what's happened to them. Hindsight is 2020, bear in mind. Liverpool didn't spend anything. And I thought, do you know what? If Arsenal didn't even sign anyone, but just kept Emile Smith-Rowe, would have had a better season. Or, more to the point that I'm going to make is, we had 80 million to spend and we spent it on them two. That's a Victor Gyökeres release clause, boys. Maybe we wouldn't be winning everything with Victor Gyökeres.
Well, we'd have a forward.
But we'd have a forward. I tell you what, we probably wouldn't have missed all them chances Havertz did at the Emirates in the FA Cup 3rd round. We'd still be in that competition, I can tell you that. Maybe we wouldn't have been embarrassed against eventual deserved winners, Newcastle, in that semi-final. And I'll tell you what, we probably wouldn't be bloody 12 points behind Liverpool right now. And, and just sit there and I just think, can we trust this guy? And obviously that's why they've got Berta on. And I know I'm dragging on, so we'll wrap it up.
No, keep going, man. All three of you are here because we want to hear your thoughts, man. Yeah. It's nice for me to just shut up and hear someone else, man. You lot take it home, man. Go on, man.
But yeah, that's sort of why, I'm hoping this Berta's coming in and, really, really, really sort of can put a rein on Mikel Arteta because he's having his own way with transfers. What did he say? Havertz, that was his boy. That's his signing. We can't afford another £65 million mistake at 285 grand a week. I can promise you that. Another Fabio Vieira, albeit the year before. That's 100 million, boys. There's £100 million just there. You look at the sum of this year. Did we need really another left back? Play Kieran Tierney. There's another 35 million. Did we need Mikel Merino? No. You know what I mean? Now you're starting to get into the 200 millions, and I've only named 4 players, boys.
That's why you can't blame the board entirely.
It's just sort of worrying where I sit there and I think, he's spent a lot of money on that left-hand side. We've had Tierney all the way there, by the way. He spent, everyone always says, Tierney, yeah, he's always injury prone. All right, so what do? We spend 35 million on Zinchenko, who's always injured. So then what do we do? Because Zinchenko's always injured. We signed Calafiori, who's always injured. It's just madness. And in the goalkeeping department, you've bought Ramsdale and then sold him for a loss. And then you bought David Raya. Well done. You already had Emi Martinez there. And I'm sitting there thinking, you spent 200 million in just them 2 departments to break it. You have better players there already. What are we doing? He's focusing all the money in that on the wrong positions. And let me tell you this before I wrap up. If Arsenal have another summer like last summer, where we signed the Calafioris and Mikel Marinos, we won't just flatline. We will regress badly because Manchester City are coming back. They will come back. Chelsea will always spend. If Arsenal have another Mikel Merino Calafiori season, boys, I worry for that. Do you know what I mean? To be so pessimistic, I think that's realistic to say. If we sign another 2
it's a genuine concern.
It is a concern because we will be overtaken. And listen, we'll go through this period where we're sitting there thinking we're having another rebuild. And guess what? We ain't won nothing in this. That's the worrying thing. If we'd nicked a league title, you know what I mean, and maybe a Carabao Cup this year, I'll go, well, it could be sort of deemed as maybe a success this little 5-year period. Well, obviously a league title would be, but we ain't won nothing. The best we've got is finishing second 3 times in a row. And guess what happened the last time that happened? That was sandwiched between 2 double winning sides in 1998 and 2002. This is sandwiched between a 5th place belly flop and God knows what happens next year. Do you know what I mean? This is not success. We want more. And do you know what? As Arsenal fans, we've waited a long time. We've put up with a lot of stuff and we blimmin' deserve a lot more than what we're getting right now.
Facts. Do you lot think that we're putting too much hope in this Berta guy?
I mean, listen, at the minute, it's I don't mean to be quite a bit of Star Wars, but help us, Berta. You're our only hope. Do you know what I mean? Because at the minute, it's, you know what I mean? It's not looking fantastic, is it? Anything to just, because I think Arteta bullied Edu. He could bully 100%. Him. And I'm hoping that this Berta won't have none of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I hope he comes in and has a backbone.
I think
Kroenke needs to give him the power, but go on, D.
Yeah, I know. I think with the Berta, I think the biggest difference for me is at least now we've got someone with experience within that department. Because Edu and Arteta together was like a car crash. I mean, you had for me, he was a glorified salesman, Edu. You know what I mean? He was a glorified car boot salesman. You know, I wasn't really bothered that he went. In fact, I was glad that he went, to be honest, because the pair of them together was you'd only have to look at the signings, that we made and the money that was wasted. So one thing I will say about Berta is the only reason why certain, like myself and other fans, are getting excited is because we can actually see someone with pedigree and experience coming in. Now, there are going to be fans that's going to turn around and go, yeah, but Arteta's still going to have to say, and Arteta's still going to run all over him, and it's going to be Arteta. I think when you bring in someone with this experience, any person that's working alongside him has to stand up and listen, has to stand up and take advice. Whether you think he's right or wrong, you can't ignore someone with his experience. So he's not going to be able to sort of suddenly go, no, I don't agree with that. I want this guy, I want that guy. If Berta puts his foot down and go, hang on a minute, you've had your chance. You've spent 65 million on a midfield player that you've now got up front that's not scored any goals. You then signed a left back. You then signed a centre back and playing him at left back. No, we're not going down that road anymore. So even if he takes 2 steps back, he's now got a challenge on his hands. He's now got confrontation. He's now got someone that he's got experience in that field that he can't dictate to. So on that point, I think Berta will make a difference to how Arteta thinks and what way Arteta's going to go, what road he's going to go down on signings. Because when he had Edu, it was like, sorting things out. Oh yeah, we'll do this and we do, and they was just rebounding off of one another. And then Arteta, well, I'm the manager, Whereas this guy, he can't do that with this guy. He's got too much experience. He's bringing too much experience, and the Cronkies would not have employed this guy and brought him in if they hadn't have thought there's problems. I think you'll see that this guy will uncover a lot of problems. He will uncover a lot of money being wasted, and he will uncover a lot of things that have gone on that shouldn't have gone on, money spent that shouldn't have been spent, etc., etc. So I think it's going to be an interesting watch with Berta. I'm glad he's at the club. I think I said that he was probably the most important signing Arsenal's made in many, many years. You needed a decent sporting director, a man with knowledge, a man with experience, because this guy Arteta, unfortunately, and what a lot of Arsenal fans are not going to want me to say this.
Say it as it is, man. Say how you feel.
You have got a man in place that's bigger than the club. And once someone is bigger than the club, it's a dangerous road to go down. Because even Alex Ferguson wasn't bigger than Man United. Arsene Wenger was never bigger than Arsenal in the end. And this man, for some reason or other, the protection he gets, the time he gets a 5-year unsackable contract. He gets £15 million a year. He gets say in all the transfers that have gone wrong. None of those transfers that he has made would ever get in an invincible team or an 89 team or teams in the past. I can name players that would start over most of this starting 11, right? And I rate Gabriel, I rate Saliba. I think they're the two. I'm big up with them. I think that they're probably one of the top 2 centre halves in Europe, without a doubt. Would probably walk into most teams, but apart from that, everyone else is benchable in my book. Yeah. So this guy coming in will probably, and you got to remember, he's been at brilliant clubs like Real Madrid. He's been with Simeone at Atletico Madrid, and he's seen great.
They used to clash quite a lot, Simeone and him. So I hope that works at Arsenal.
He's going to know. He's going to know. He's going to look at them games. He's going to look at these players, and he's going to go, "Yo, hang on, these players ain't good enough to play for this team. I've seen great players." He's going to have the same outlook of what I've witnessed at this club. He's going to go, "Yo, what's he doing playing? Has he spent 35 million? I mean, we've got a captain. Someone asked me a question yesterday: would you take 65 million for Odegaard? Yeah, all day long. All day long.
Can't lie, you got a point there.
Yeah, I'd take the 65 million. I'd go get a man like Jared Bowen that can play on the right, can play on the 10, and can play in the centre.
Fair.
And it's going to give you 100% and a proven Premier League player and a winner. So there's options there. Everyone's locked in. Everyone has got completely sidetracked with this manager and this captain and Edu when he was there. Everyone was like gassed up with it. Oh, and they're still on that road. This man is
fans of agendas rather than the actual football club, which is all that matters.
This man's going to be the next Arsene Wenger. This man's going to be the next George Graham. This man's going to do this. He's not showing me that. He's not showing me that. He's not showing me that. And I'll say it again. I've got nothing personally against Arteta, and I've said it that he has done some good things, and I said that he was a man coming in with no experience whatsoever on the touchline as a manager, with big decisions, none whatsoever. And I think the fans have been patient with him. I think the general fans of Arsenal have been really, really patient with him. But it's got to now stop. And Berta coming in, I believe, will kind of put the cat amongst the pigeons, if you like. And I think he'll uncover a lot of baggage there. And I'm over the moon. He's at the club personally.
I hear it.
Before
Kenny
Ken
or Aaron?
before Ken was, can I just add into this as well? Do you know what one of the better things about signing Berta is? The fact that we didn't give the job to a Riziki or a Mertz.
Yeah, man, we need to stop the ex-Arsenal player
that
thing.
they was going to go
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Sorry to jump in there, Ken. I just wanted to get that out there. Yeah,
100%. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm over the moon. Experience.
Yeah.
Someone's got no previous contact with Arsenal coming in, and you know.
Fair, man. Kenny?
Look, I think it's got to be the board's appointment rather than the manager's appointment, because I think Mikel Arteta has shown that when he's had full control of the footballing affairs, it hasn't gone the way we'd like. He's still got gaping holes in the team, and I think he should.
Someone said in the comments we haven't got gaping holes, Kenny, man. But go ahead.
Yeah, they would say that, because I know the person who says that as well. He's the same person who says, "How do we know that it wasn't Mikel Arteta's appointment?" No, we don't. We probably didn't. But the fact is that we've seen it loads of times. When you bring someone else of that stature in a football club, the club's not big enough for two big personalities, especially the coach or manager, whatever he wants to call himself, or someone with that sort of stature. One of them, it free becomes a crowd, especially if the board are listening more to Berta rather than they would Mikel. Now, we don't know that's going to happen. We know the guy's got the big experience, but his job isn't just to buy players. He's got to have to get some players out. He's got to, look at contracts as well. He's got a three-way job. We only concentrating on the players we think we're going to get, the players we think we're going to be linked with. It's very, very surprising that before this guy got to the club, certain players that have been mentioned now, Gomes, Isak, I never heard them being linked with Arsenal. I've only heard Arsenal fans saying they desired them, but I never heard people in the media linking those two players with the football club. I heard Sesko's name being mentioned quite a lot, and it was mentioned on Sky TV last year, but I've never heard Isak's name being mentioned. So for me, if we've gone down that road, that's a clash as well, because anyone who knows Mikel Arteta and knows the football club knows that the Sesko is his preferred target, and that Isak was never going to get into his way of thinking. So that's one area that us fans need to keep an eye on. But this guy's job is only going to be worthwhile if he ties down players that we need at the club. He's got to tie down Saka. I was on Dan's show yesterday, and we had a conversation about three players, Saka, Saliba and Gabriel. Would you give them big wages? And I say, look, at any football club, it's impossible to give three players over 300 grand a week. And the
Saliba's being linked. Sorry, Gabriel's being linked with a move to the Middle East for 100 odd million as well.
Which is a shame, because he's been statistically and even on the naked eye, he's been our best defender. He's been a more consistent player than Saliba is. Saliba may have all the talent, but in terms of when you think about performances, the acceptable ratings are 7 out of 10. He's been a 7 out of 10 most times. You can't think you actually have to go back 2.5 years for when he's had a bad game. You can't say that about Saliba. There's some games where Saliba has been out of sorts. Bournemouth, he got sent off. I know people may say it's lucky, but he hasn't really been his best. But if I was make a decision out of all the three, it's got to be Saka, because simple reasons. One, Saka's their best player, and two, most importantly, if you're a businessman, who's the face of the football club? It's because Saka says that's one of his jobs. The other job, that if he's doing his job properly, is he's got to make a decision on some of our players. is, I'm not saying if Saudi's come with Gabriel, yeah, maybe he's defender, but a big name's going to have to go. Martinelli's going to have to be sold.
Yeah.
Not a Trossard, who I consider to be hot and cold, but a big name on a big money like Martinelli. You've got to make the decision. Could be another player. You are allowed to upgrade on players, even if they're big names. You are allowed to upgrade on them. Odegaard, if you think there's someone better in his position, you are allowed to upgrade on Martinelli if you think the team can better. The big teams do that. Man City have done it, where they've upgraded on players who've brought them trophies. And
Havertz and Jesus on big money as well, man. That's come back to that.
But even so, when you talk about Havertz and Jesus isn't really a big name. He's a bit part player anyway, and he's been a bit part player.
They shouldn't be on those wages.
Yeah, but even so, you get them out. It's about getting real money for players. And some of the big names, you've got to make sacrifices. Because I'll tell you one thing: this £300 million they say we're going to spend, you've got to sell. That war chest that is only going to be used if we get players out. PSR will be all over us like flies if we just spend if we don't get some of this money back. So you've got to make a decision. And I can tell you right now, players who haven't won anything for us are dispensable. There's only one player at our club that's not dispensable for me. It's Bukayo Saka. All the rest of them are dispensable.
Yeah,
I hear it.
But it's true. It's true what we've been saying, and Kenny hit the nail on the head. We're having to get players out the door to bring quality in the team. Now, in my book, that's a rebuild, and I've been saying it. We've had a 5-year progress with this guy. The manager's come out and said we're in phase 4. Yet come this summer, we're rebuilding. So where does it go from rebuild to phases?
True.
You tell me. So this. I mean, I've got people in the comments saying, we're blaming Arteta. We're blaming Arteta. Look, when you're on £15 million, let me just say to that. I mean, bless up to him. But when you're on £15 million a year as a novice, as an apprenticeship, and you're on £15 million a year managing this great club, unfortunately, my friend, the buck stops at you. You pick the team. You send them players over that white line out to perform every week. You rotate the players.
The nature of the business in football.
You look
Same
after.
way you get praise if we was winning everything.
The players' welfare all comes down to you. You're the head teacher. Yeah, you are the man in charge. And when you're on those wages, you can't keep blaming boards. I don't know any board.
And balls.
People say blame the board. Name me a board that pays a manager learning his trade £15 million a year.
And broke the transfer record. And left backs galore. And ripping up contracts. 100 odd million plus on Marino and Havertz. You can't just blame the board. Unless you start looking at the actual facts, this is what I'm saying. People say, oh, but you're negative. I'm just looking at the facts. I'm not negative because I still go and watch them every week. Exactly. We're here waffling about.
If I was negative, I'd be selling me season ticket, right? I'm not negative. I'm just looking at what I see in front of me. Me and Kenny can look at what we see in front of us. We've been going for years, and we look at what we see in front of us. And we've got a manager in the dugout that's on £15 million a year. And come this summer, we are having to take. We may have to sell players to bring in players to rebuild this squad to try and win us the Premiership title. That's ignoring the Champions League.
DJB, so he's the second highest paid manager in world football. We expect that if he's going to run with the big dogs like that, we expect them results.
So what I'm trying to say is in the 5 years that this manager's been in the club, can you honestly tell me with your hand on your heart that this squad is good enough to win the Premiership title or a Champions League? Because for me, apart from three, maybe 4 players, the rest of them are all, as Kenny said, all can go up for sale, and I wouldn't miss them. You know,
there's still question marks in midfield and up front. Like, we can't be talking about winning titles.
So,
if we ain't
you know,
fixed that.
you start looking at what you're seeing, guys. It's potentially another season, highly potentially, because we've got Real Madrid, unfortunately, with the draw. But it's highly fortunate that we're going to go another season without winning anything in a 5-year tenure of this manager, and then we are looking at who we're going to bring in. I mean, people are saying Isak ain't coming to Arsenal Football Club. Why would Isak come to Arsenal Football Club? He's at a club with unbelievable amounts of money. He's at a club with a manager with experience that has now won a trophy.
Matched Arteta now.
He's adored by all the fans. He's an absolute legend in Newcastle's history. Why is he going to come to Arsenal when the process is starting all over again?
You've got to try, though, haven't you, DJB? That's the thing, what I expect. He's one of the best in the business and Premier League proven. I totally get you. He's probably not coming, but we've got to try, haven't we?
The club's going to try, but it's not. He's not going anywhere. And I honestly think that this manager is sticking his neck out for Sesko. I honestly think he wants Sesko, and to me, Sesko's another project. And I still think he's obsessed. I still think that he's obsessed by Kai Havertz, and I think he's looking at a striker so he can perhaps rotate with Kai Havertz, because I think he'll throw egg on his face if he leaves it Kai Havertz as a bench player. I think he's obsessed by him, and he proves that for the amount of games he plays in and what he says about him when he comes off the pitch and he gives him hugs and cuddles. You know, and I honestly believe that he's trying to sign the right player to team up with Kai Havertz so that he can justify signing that player for 65 million, in my opinion.
It's all just personal for him, isn't it? Mikel Arteta is what I call him, you know, and it's all at the detriment of the club. That's the thing. You think if we do get Sesko, and I'm sitting there and thinking, why is it taking us 2 years to get a player of that level? Right. And then I even said, you know, if I wouldn't mind Gyökeres as well, you know, as it maybe a second sort of option. But even then, that's a little bit of a bittersweet signing, because I sit there and I think, you know what? If we release this clause in the summer, I'm thinking, why have we waited 2 years to release that? So whilst I'll be happy with getting him, I'm sitting there and I think, why did you just not do this last summer? Why is it taking you so long?
I could say why we didn't get Sesko. Discussions were made with Sesko last season.
Yeah,
you know, it's just to the extent that personal terms were been agreed. But after a conversation with Mikel Arteta, he decided to spend one more year at Leipzig. Now, we can only assume what that conversation was about, and we can speculate. Who knows? But I can, if I was to hazard a guess, you know, players of that ilk are only going to come if they're guaranteed first team football. I'm not saying that was a conversation that happened, but there is a conundrum at football club.
But if City can get Marmoush, though, that's what I'm saying. If they can get Marmoush while they've got Haaland just signing a 10-year deal, surely we can convince us.
Different positions, but we're talking about a player. We've been, Arsenal fans, I think 99% of Arsenal fans want a striker. Well, there's a massive conundrum that 6'3" and happens to be a full German international who's cost a combined total since he's left Germany of over 140 million pounds. That's Kai Havertz. He's a conundrum. Mikel Arteta, plays him no matter what, and he sees him as a flexible footballer in his system. Unfortunately, is he as good as the top players in any of those positions he shows? Is he a good left 8? Is he a good false number 9? He's okay. But we need better.
He's all right, but he's not the best at any of that. He's not even the best in the squad at any of that, arguably. Well, up front by default.
But Sesko, he may say, "Well, hang on here, where am I going to get first team football?" Because, if I'm coming to Arsenal, I'm not going to be benched for that.
No,
he wants to develop his career. Players like that, whether he
ain't that a red flag if you don't think you can take Kai Havertz's spot, regardless, like being devil's advocate.
You say it's a red flag, but but at the end of the day, you look at the situation. If you look at Jesus before he got injured, we were raving about him.
Yeah, those first 6 months were magical.
He came back from injury, and then Kai Havertz had his purple patch. When Jesus arguably was fully fit this season, he was on the bench. In fact, there were other players playing in that false number 9 other than Jesus before he got his injury. So that is a pertinent question that I've raised. I haven't got any proof of that, but one thing I would say, it's quite extraordinary if you had discussions with a player, your long-term target, only for your long-term target to somehow decide that he wants to stay for another year at his club, where he plays first team, where he's an automatic choice, and he's playing the Champions League. Now, I'm not saying Leipzig's a better place than Arsenal, but I'll tell you one thing, playing first team football is better than being on the bench.
And the move will happen anyways, whether it's to Arsenal or someone else. Like, that's what Leipzig do. He knows the move's going to happen. And yeah, I think you're bang on the money then. Like, I want to add a question into this. Like, what do you lot think Berta actually has to do? Like, is there a number of signings for you lot we have to make, whether that be the first 11 or the squad?
I mean, for me, and this is the worrying thing, like, obviously I know the question's slightly different because Berta's here now, but Arteta signed about 31, 32 players, or Arsenal have in the last 5 years. Only about 5 of them really you can make a claim for saying that, yeah, they've been somewhat successes, i.e. not a failure really. That's worrying sort of math when you're thinking, 1 in 6 signings that he makes are actually going to be half decent. For me, I think we probably need about 10. Realistically, we probably ain't going to get 10. Let's just set it at 5 or 6 in the summer. The worrying thing on that math, and this is where we hope Berta comes in and actually does something. Worrying thing is based on our previous 5 years, only 1 of them are going to be really any good. Do you know what I mean? I know you can't use that as an exact, but you kind of get my point that we've been so poor in it that 1 in 6 signings actually come off for Arsenal. We need a striker. I think we probably need 2. I wouldn't mind getting that Jonathan David geezer for a free if we could. Do you know what I mean? As a backup, as a second option. These are the things that Arsenal don't do, and it's frustrating me. Opportunities like that. Sign him, and if he's no good, sell him for 20, 30 million next summer. Them opportunistic sort of signings. We need a left wing. We need a couple of wingers, to be fair. We need someone to challenge Odegaard. We need to sort that left 8 thing out. Tierney's going to go. We need to sort the left back out. We need a backup keeper again. The right side of centre back still not sort of sorted. There's a lot of work to do still. And, I could carry on. That's the worrying thing after 5 years and all this time. And we're still thinking we need about 6 players. And a lot of them are first teamers. We need a new left winger, 100% to start. Because Kenny, do you know what? To be fair to Kenny, he was the first person and I think this stream was about 18 months ago. He was the first person that said about Martinelli and selling him. And I watched everyone else on that stream grill Kenny. And do you know what? He's been absolutely spot on. He was the first person to call it. Martinelli ain't been good enough. Arteta knows that because he tried spending 90 million on Madrid. So, you know what I mean? You think,
Thank the Lord in hindsight, that didn't happen.
Just in first team, as you think, you need a left 8, a striker, a left winger, and a left back. There's 4 starters just there. Yeah. Odegaard, he's very replaceable. That's 5. How are we needing half a new team to start with? You know what I mean? After 5 years, struggling.
No, I mean, Aaron, it comes back to my point. How you just said it. How are we needing all these players in a 5-year in a 5-year phase? When this
it's on brand because 5 years too long to have a squad together without replenishing it. Like, it's on brand.
And let's be honest. 750, 800 million pound. By the time the next transfer window comes up, you're talking billions of pounds, and we're still players short. As you said, we're still, for me, an attacking central midfield like a Morgan, like Rodgers, someone like that is much needed. I haven't seen anyone with any attacking central midfield player at this club. For Ramsey, perhaps, it's all wingers. Martinelli. Well, Martinelli, you got to remember, go back to Unai Emery. Martinelli was absolutely flying. He was scoring goals for fun. He was playing down the centre, and the kid was absolutely flying. Yeah, under this manager, he's not improved. So that's another worry for me.
He's still roaring.
Well, yeah, but this is another worry for me. Do we give this manager more money? Do we give this manager
a Gorkarez,
Isak? Isak don't suit us the way we play. Isak don't suit the way this manager likes to play. And, is he going to get the best out of signings? Do we trust him? Do we trust him to bring in more players that we're going to see fall out of bed, and smash their head open? Because at the end of the day, there are too many players in this team that haven't improved. That have just and you've got to look at that. Jesus came into the squad, all right, he got injuries, but I mean, he fell off very, very quickly. And this is a man that said, "Oh, I've worked with him at Man City, I've coached him, I know him." And I'm thinking, yeah, brilliant. He knows his player. He's going to turn him into a world beat. He's going to turn him into a 20-goal machine.
Yeah,
Didn't do that.
Totally agree. But you think about Hayes. I think what was a red flag to me is that when we signed Jesus and Zinchenko, I think it was lost on a lot of fans that we're actually getting horses players from Man City. We weren't getting their top players. We were getting them.
There's a reason they're bench boys and squad players.
Yeah, bench players. And I'm not saying they haven't done well for us, because, as you know, the first when Zinchenko first got in the team, he was inverting. We were on the front foot playing front foot football. Fans were happy with that, but I always thought, hey, what's he like defending? What's he like?
And we saw at Anfield that same season.
Yeah, same season, and that's never changed. In terms of Jesus, my worry with Jesus was always his goal return. That is not personal, but I thought that sort of players that Mikel Arteta gets, which is Jesus is and all that, the way we play under Mikel lends itself to players who have to contribute from all areas of the pitch. He doesn't actually need a full-time out striker who get you 25, 30 goals across all the competitions. The way we play, he needs goals from Saka, he needs goals from Martinelli, he needs goals from Odegaard, and he'll need goals from his inverted thing. And he thinks, right, if I can get all of them, that's about 60 goals. And then maybe my set piece coach can get me some more goals. I'm laughing. If you look at last season, last two seasons, 22, 23, he can arguably say, and I'm being positive, who's the guy that's always disagreeable? Marley.
I can't remember the username.
He got Marley. The reason I'm saying I'm being positive is because in 22, 23, he got double figures from Saka. He got double figures from Martinelli. He got double figures from Odegaard. And he got double figures from Jesus because he got injured. So in that respect, his system worked up to a point. The second season, of course, it worked up to a point because of the amount of goals we were seeing. But long term, teams do work you out. And that's why you do need to change the way you play. You think about not Man United under in the 93 season, Man United won the league. 93, 94, they won the league. They played with wingers. They had Mark Hughes up top, held the ball up. You had Giggs, Canchelsis in both those two seasons. Sometimes you had Lee Sharp. They were getting goals from all over the pitch. Teams began to work out Man United. They need a bit of pace. What they do, they went and got Andy Cole, changed the way they play. Obviously, nearly got close to winning the league. Obviously, they had Cantona as well. And then the second season, when teams weren't able to work out because they changed things, they brought new players in. And I think that's where we are this season. Teams have begun to work as that this season. A lot of people are looking at the way
you play low block against us, you have half a chance. They have therefore.
But the thing about it is that people say, "What's Mikel's fate's going to be?" And I'll say, Mikel's fate, or for a lot of fans who are floating voters, is these last games. For instance, you look at the Real Madrid game. That's where fans are going to be up for it. If it doesn't go well for Mikel against Real Madrid, then we're going to look at the next home games. The attitude of the players. Are they going to consolidate at second place, or are they going to just throw the white flag out? Because if we don't get these maximum points in these games, we will be caught by the teams in and around us. We'll probably still get top four, but it'd be the manner of defeat. A lot of people say that Mikel Arteta should be credited for finishing second this season. But if you're a proper football fan who knows and loves football and actually knows your players inside out, you will know this has been a damn squib of a season.
Oh, 12 points off Liverpool. Come on.
Yeah. But arguably, Liverpool haven't been at their best. They didn't have to be at their best. You look at Liverpool's team.
That's why you can't praise Arteta for that.
Yeah,
To go to what you said, Kenny. That's a myth.
Team, they got gaping holes in the way they play. Liverpool's right hand side is their strongest side, but it's their weakest side
because of the space.
It's for the space they need. The two strikers, Jota and Nunez, have dropped off. Diaz has dropped off. Gakpo's getting there, but he's had an injury and he's dropped off. So really and truly, they're so far ahead, and their momentum is going to take them into probably getting 89 and 90 points. But next season they got surgery on that team. Any Liverpool fan will know that team needs surgery. Any football fan,
major. They've been saying that for a while.
But the same with us. I tell you now, if we go in with this squad next season, we're going to struggle because we've got to change the way we play. We've got to incorporate a striker with pace, so teams are not a surprise when they play us. They're not going to be saying, "All right, this is how you play us."
Evolve the system, as Arteta says.
Yeah, but this, how you play us. First half an hour, Arsenal are going to play with pace. Just stay there. Don't panic. Don't give anything away. And then after the half an hour, they will struggle. Look at Chelsea. Thank God we scored in the first 15 minutes, because after that, we struggled afterwards. But Chelsea is so bad. Yeah. Can you imagine if we did score after the half an hour against Chelsea? That would have been a 0-0.
Yeah. No, facts.
Signing's only half the job for me. Like, there's a lot Arteta has to do on the coaching front, because the reality is the man's going to be here next season, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I'll make you right, DJ, and it's true what Kenny said about the great Man United teams. Again, they had a manager that knew how to adapt and knew how to change the system. Unfortunately, Arteta has not shown me enough how to change systems and how to adapt.
Not enough flexibility.
No, he hasn't. We say about Zinchenko playing at left back. Well, it's very evident that when he came into midfield, he looked okay. He looked good on the ball. He looked comfortable. He made a lot of things happen. Yeah, when he come in and inverted, but he couldn't defend. But he still stuck by him as a defender. He wasn't even willing to bring him into midfield and try something different. Play Tierney at left back. Bring Zinchenko in the middle. He's got a captain that's kind of gone stale this season. He's got a captain who's produced pretty much nothing. His assists, his goals, it's been non-existent. But again, what a manager would do, they'll look at it and they'll go, right, what can we do to change it? I know what, we'll stick him in an 8. We'll perhaps bring Ranieri in the 10. We'll try our captain in the 8. We'll put him down the middle. We'll try different things. We'll change it up. He's not prepared to do that. And this is the problem I have from a football point of view, is looking at it from a football point of view. You need to get to change things up. You need to confuse the opposition, and he is not willing to do that. Real Madrid has already got his number. They've already sussed it out. They've looked at videos. They've got a game plan. They know Odegaard's going to drift in and out. They know he's going to get on the ball. They know he's going to take 2 or 3 touches too many, spin back, pass it back, build play up again.
We've got all the players though, DJ. Yeah. Though. That's what I mean. They're all tied up like a pretzel, mate. There's no freedom at all in anyone.
But this is what I'm saying. When we have battered teams, and we will batter, we will beat teams. We will have our day in the sunshine where we score 5-6 goals and beat teams.
Last 2 seasons, including now, reflect that.
Exactly. Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is on a day-to-day basis, to win a premiership, you've got to be able to change the way you play against certain teams. You've got to be able to gamble. You've got to be able to take risks. You've got to be able to move players in different positions to try different things.
He just reverts to type regardless.
Exactly. And we've not got. We haven't got a striker, and we've been playing without a striker, and we can't even change it there. We're trying Mourinho up front. Let's be honest. Okay, he scored a few goals. What we do? I mean, if anyone with their hand on their heart can tell me he meant that goal against Chelsea, then I've just won the lottery, because to me, he's just tried the old Tony Adams or Steve Bold flick onto the far post.
Exactly what he's done. That's why.
Come on. That's not.
Fact.
So, you know what, as well, DJ. I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry.
And this is again. I get back to let's look at what we've got in front of us. We've got a manager that's got style. We've got a manager that's tried, that's reached the ceiling. He's done good things, but it's now time to look ahead. And you can't deny it. We are on a rebuild. This summer is a rebuild. For the simple fact is that we're having to sign 3 or 4 players, move players on, and we've got to change the way we play. And it's true what Kenny says. Unless we change the way we play, we're not going to get strikers like Isak in the team. Because we won't be able to.
You know what worries me, though? What worries me, Bud, is that you think if there's any game in a season, boys, where you think you can do whatever you want, change it up, mix it up. And that was last Wednesday against PSV. We were 7-1 up for crying out loud. And even if you say, all right, in the first half, you just wanted to make sure there was nothing else happening. We were 9-2 up at aggregate. Why didn't you change the whole thing for 45? Exactly right. If there's going to be a game in your season where you can change things up and try something new, it was that.
Getting back to that,
Aaron, it's only changing at the moment because we've got no choice.
Back to that, Aaron, we're talking about player burnout, and we're talking about why this manager has been a big catalyst on players getting injured. We're 7-1 up against PSV. Then we go 9-something up against PSV, and Declan Rice is playing more or less 90 minutes.
Even Gabriel.
Why?
He played the full 90. Why?
Why is Declan Rice still on the pitch? Try something different. Do you know what I mean? And
he's scared to do it. He's frightened to do it.
He's not brave enough. He sticks to the same.
He dies on his sword from minute 0 to 90, regardless.
It's that system, though. It's his alpha and omega. That system, he believes, certain thing. There's certain things. There's a lot of no-nos with Mikel Arteta. One of the biggest no-nos is diagonal balls.
Declan Rice always speaks about that.
Getting the ball forward quickly enough is the no-no in Mikel Arteta. Not being able to track back is a no-no. Not winning the ball back is a massive no-no in Mikel Arteta. Getting outnumbered on
that as well, to echo your point, Kenny.
It's a massive no-no in Mikel Arteta. Hence the fact that you watch Arsenal, and you could say that for any other team out there. I was watching the game last week, the last 16 games between Benfica and Barcelona. Benfica were 3-1 down with 15 minutes to go. How did Benfica play? The same way they played when they were 0-0. They got into like the last third, and instead of putting the ball crossing, the inverted winger trekked back, passed it to the midfielder, and then he passed it around to the nearest man, and they went back to the wing to see if there was an opening, not trying to create that, because they didn't see the opening. They did the same thing, and it went back to the goalkeeper. And they're 3-1 down, by the way. That's exactly how a lot of teams are playing. We're no different. It's like managers are so scared of taking a risk defensively, and that's why certain players play. That's why Saka plays, because he knows Mikel Arteta's intentions inside out. Partey is one of his favourite players, knows what is needed inside out. Of course, Odegaard knows what's needed inside out. I've seen him have a go at Raya because Raya's cleared his lines. He wants Raya to pass the ball. Ramsdale lost his job at Arsenal, not because of his inability to stop shots of being lobbed. It's because whenever he cleared his lines, he went straight back to the opposition. He was never going to have a future here. I was laughing when he first played. I went, hang on here. I watched the Man United game, Ramsdale's last game last season, and I said to a mate, I said, that's him gone, mate. That's him gone. That was after Man United's first goal. But when he kicked the ball into the centre circle and Man United won the ball and they created 2 passes and an attack, and Martial, he had to make a substitution for Martial. I said, that's him gone. We went to an international break. After the international break, Everton away. Who was in goal? David Raya. That's Mikel for you.
Yeah. No, it's facts. No, but I've been really disappointed this season on the whole. I mean, I was excited. I was excited in the summer. You know, I took it on the chin, 2 points behind Man City, absolutely gutted. But I thought, do you know what? There's signs there that we could do the right signings and go into this season and it's really fallen flat. It's really fallen flat. I've not known a season so disappointed in many years at the football club,
because they've got us up for it by being in this title challenge. Like my thing is getting over the line. We built our hopes up, and it's rubbish now.
Beginning of the stream, you know, he's built it up. He's built it up, and he's reached the top. He's reached where he wants to be, and now all of these things that he's doing now are just all starting to crumble down, and it's just a slippery slope. And unless the club is brave enough to act, we could be having this same conversation come this time next year. Honestly,
and it will be overtaken,
if not worse. We could be out the top four. Yeah. You know, we could be out the cups.
Can't afford to be complacent anymore, man.
We can't. I mean, I've said the new sporting director's coming. We need players in the summer. I've said rip it up and start again. And I know it's brutal, and I know it sounds tough, and I know it sounds harsh, and it might sound negative. Let's start again. Let's start again before the long-term damage is too late. Because if we keep this man in the club, long-term, the damage is going to have a knock-on effect. Where it might only take 1 or 2 seasons to put right, it will take 5 or 6 seasons to put right. And then you're talking over 30 years before we've won a premiership.
And that's the annoying thing.
Look at it, guys. That is the reality. You know, you could be 25 years of age now. If the right thing ain't done, you could be 35 until we win a championship.
Mate, Ancelotti and Ancelotti could come in there, and Inzaghi could come in with this summer window. If he was even backed moderately, and I'd believe significantly more that we could be champions. We don't need major surgery. With a proper manager, getting the best out of some of these players, sprinkling it with proper players, we could be up there, thereabouts, you know. But under this manager, I'm sorry.
I honestly think the club is ready now. And whether, Arteta then can take some credit for leaving the club where it is now.
There's nothing wrong if that's your thing. If you're the guy that helped build this and the next one comes in, that you can leave with your head held high.
DG,
I think it's fair to ask questions of the gaffer. Like, we haven't got over the line.
DG, there's nothing wrong with holding your hands up and going, look, I've done all what I can. This is how I'm leaving the club. Whoever comes in now...
But there's too much of a cult for Arteta.
Whoever comes in now has got Saliba, Gabriel, Declan Rice. They've got some good players at the club. Whoever comes in now with good experience, with quality experience, with a history of winning things, can rectify where we are now. But if you leave this man in place, then whoever comes in, if you think the rebuild is in this summer, boy, honestly.
Well, unfortunately, we got fans like this, respectfully to that. This is why I've left a comment up. Are we 8th or lower just checking in the quarterfinals?
They will say
it's ingenuous to say these things with no context.
I was on Dan's channel. There was a geese. We had Christian on there saying virtually the same things. And,
they know they're chatting shit. So, like, come on.
Yeah, but the fact is that...
Look at United. Look at Chelsea Spurs. We don't want to do what they're doing. I'm sorry, Kenny, go on.
You can't silence people who want more. Just because you happen to be in the majority of fans who got their
message like foreplay, no penetration. That's what they like.
But that's the thing. You've got to realise is that a lot of these guys, judging by the comments, they watch other podcasts that are a lot different from what we're watching today. They clearly, I know one of them is.
No one's even said Arteta out as well. Does it go with this comment?
A massive. A lot of them are watch AFTV. And I don't say it respectfully, to say it factually. They're not my mates. So they will think, well, hang on here, why are these guys not like the people we watch on AFTV? Why are they not like the other podcasts? Why are they finding all the problems? Because the other podcasts, they play to the audience who want to hear positive thinking. Also, some of these guys, I've said it, and I say it factually, I don't care if it hurts them or not, there are vested interests within our fan base now. Certainly been the case since lockdown. Certainly been the case since the All or Nothing documentary. You saw, and that hasn't changed me. Hasn't really changed my mind. The fact is that when I look at Mikel Arteta, sometimes I look at Mikel Arteta, and sometimes I put him in the camp of Sarri and Bielsa, where both of them are great coaches. Bielsa's a fantastic coach. He leads foundations, but Bielsa doesn't win much.
Yeah, Drizzy, we want to be eighth. Sorry, Kenny, but we really want to be eighth. Great, that makes a lot of sense.
And sorry,
sensible.
you know, sorry, who had that philosophies, and everyone wants to play like sorry. When he won his first trophy, he won his first trophy in 2019 when Chelsea beat us in the final in Baku. That's the first time he won his trophy. Now, as much as I'm talking about different coaches, great coaches, right? But sometimes great coaches build philosophies, improve players, and have a style of play. Great managers win trophies, win leagues, and win Champions Leagues. And I think that Mikel Arteta probably could be in the realm of a Bielsa and a realm of a Sarri, who's excellent coach. But can he get us over the line? Well, I don't know how long we have to wait. You know what I mean? 6 years is about right. Even successful managers. Zidane didn't last that long at Real Madrid. 6 years. He took his cut and went home. You know, Ancelotti didn't last that long at Chelsea. He won a double. He was out the next year. Ancelotti has never been at a club for more than 5 or 6 years. In fact, Ancelotti won trophies at Bayern Munich, but because they thought his football was out of date, they sacked him.
It's facts, Kenny. I mean, but the thing is now, you know, fans will come out with but he's got a second 3 years running. Okay, cool. But like, and what's the difference?
Get us over the line. I give Arteta his flowers and I criticize him because if you won us a league, we'd be gassing you. You know, people are happy that we got to a quarter final. What the fuck?
Hang on a minute. There's a question there. Who remembers 2 years ago the quarter finalists? You remember winners. You don't remember quarter finalists. You don't remember you remember winners. No one remembers.
You only remember the runners up because you know the winners beat. That's the
you know.
And because for me, we're actually half decent. We're flirting with it. You know, we're not where we were when we were eighth. We're actually somewhat near it. Let's get over the line.
Exactly. Any sport, progression is the road to success. Yeah.
You think Arteta isn't saying this internally at Arsenal? Anything that we're saying, it's not making sense.
Cricket. You can name any sport, any team sports, any sport.
Don't get Ken started on cricket. For crying out loud.
DG and DeLuca Guna and Aaron don't like cricket. Steady on, mate.
Yeah, no, fuck cricket, man. I'll leave that to my granddad, man.
I'm going to do a cricket show with Kenny one day, but that's a different
cricket goes on for days. I ain't trying to watch that, man.
Yeah. We'll do a watch along Essex. But anyway, progression means success at the end of it. And if at the end of that road you've been given this money and you've been given these players and you've been given £15 million a year, surely now you've got to think to yourself, hang on a minute, can I really make this? Can I really win the trophy? There comes a point where Mikel Arteta and every man and every woman in sport, no matter who they are, has to sit down and be honest with themselves. Yeah. Like Klopp did with Liverpool, yeah. You have to be honest with yourself, and he has to come. It has to come to a point whereby he turns around and goes, "I've had this, I've spent this."
See, Drizzy's understanding now.
Yeah, it has to come to a point where he thinks, "Can I make this club successful?" And if he puts his hand on his heart and he thinks he can't, then he needs to walk away.
And the whole club as well, piggybanking off that point. You listen to anything Saliba, Rice, Odegaard, Saka, they all speak about wanting to win trophies and how it's not nice finishing second. Even when you look at Rice and Saka, for England, they've come up second as well. It can't be a nice feeling. And the more that they keep getting close, but not theirs, at some point, the energy levels are going to drop, which I think has been the case for everyone.
Yeah, and the thing is, guys, the trust goes, because a lot of the reasons why Rice joined Arsenal was because of Arteta, and he believed in what he was doing. He believed in his philosophy. Well, hang on a minute. His philosophy now, since Rice has been at the club, he ain't won nothing. So where does then the players start to think, hang on a minute, I did join this club to win trophies, but I've been here 2 seasons.
I think the players are angry about January. Look at Rice's comments about, I'm sure we're going to get signings and whatnot. They've been sold a dream by the board as well.
Exactly.
Everybody's hands are dirty, from Arteta to the players to the owners. Like,
When does a player's dream become a nightmare? That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm
you
saying?
think as well, yeah. We've been linked, haven't we, with giving new contracts to 5 players: MLS, Muneri, Saka, and the 2 centre backs, Gabriel and Saliba. Yeah, if you were Gabriel and Saliba in particular as well, and you're thinking about that as an ambition, because they are all definitely as a squad sitting there thinking, can we actually win something here or under this manager?
You think they don't want a striker?
Exactly. They're going to be sitting there and thinking, okay, well, Arteta said, we're on the cusp of it and we ain't won anything since we've been here. Do you reckon they're going to be signing their contract if they're offered it before the summer window ends? If you was them, you'd be crazy, wouldn't you? You'd be sitting there thinking, okay, Mikel Arteta sat us all down and said, we're going to try and sign X, Y, Z, this and all that. But you'd want to see it first, wouldn't you? If I was Saliba, say, for argument's sake, I'd be waiting until August, September and going, look, I'll sign it, but I want to see what's coming through the door first.
Exactly.
Let's see what ambition you've got. It's
We're a
madness.
good football team. It's about showing the world, and the only way to do that is silverware, man.
Hey, Marley's at it again. Marley says we need to accept that we're a top 4 club with potential winning major trophies on a self-sustained budget. Well, Marley, if you get on I'm going to buy you a train ticket from Euston. You get on a train ticket and you stop off at Liverpool, and you'll get to Liverpool 1, and I'm going to pay you oyster to take you to Liverpool 8. There's a club who play at Anfield who are on a self-sustained budget as well, who are just about to win their 2nd league in 5 years. That same club has won 2 European Cups since 2005 and been to 4. I think.
And regardless of that, we should have won the league last year and made a bit more of a push this year. So what are we doing with that?
And they've won numerous more trophies than that we have without winning the league. So you can win things on a self-sustained budget. You can't, and you can compete. In fact, if you look at Pep Guardiola, who is his most feared side, is Liverpool, because Liverpool are the only team that have taken Man City to the world. You know why Liverpool do it?
And apart from Alisson and Van Dijk, how did they source those players? Those players weren't. Salah was a reject at Chelsea. Robertson came from relegation. You had Ronaldo, and the list goes on. So it can be done.
And you know why they do it? It's because Klopp does not play the same way.
We missed out by 2 points last year. Like, we're not that bad. We're so close to it. It's jarring, man. One love for the super chat. What's this? I think this is a question for the panel. What is Arteta's best cup run other than 3 games in the FA Cup? Does Arteta know what a striker is? Different profiles all failed. Please ask the panel. There you 3 have it.
Well, his best domestic cup runs obviously have come in the League Cup, haven't they? But I mean, they got shut down fairly quickly against Liverpool. And Newcastle, we just got absolutely humiliated. I mean, aside from that, he's only got past the 3rd round twice, I think, and that was because he beat Oxford and Crystal Palace. We haven't got past the 4th round. So in terms of FA Cup, there's absolutely no run.
No,
whatsoever.
The cups have been really bad under this manager since he won the FA Cup. And as for signing a striker, he's never really signed a striker in the years he's been there.
Never wanted one. He's never wanted one.
He's going to need one now.
He's
going to need one.
Unfortunately. And people say, but he signed Havertz. Havertz weren't signed as a striker. He was signed
as a short-term option that became a long-term fix, and we got complacent.
Odell's West Ham boy, mate.
Big him up.
He's still celebrating the fact that they had their annual win at the Emirates, isn't it?
Yeah.
You do know that we're used to losing to you guys. I mean, you're the last. You're the last team to win at Highbury in
the first team to win at the Emirates.
2006, and the first team went at the Emirates. I know that's
under Pardew, wasn't it?
They're never going to forgive us for taking right.
The Champions Europe.
Yeah.
West
Ham have their cup every season. If they beat Arsenal or Tottenham, they have their cup. They have their day out in the sun, don't they? So.
The trouble is that they always raise their game when they come to the Emirates. I don't know how they do it.
They love it. They love it.
Yeah, but they have won a European trophy that no one can ever remember who plays in it. The conference.
Hang on, they won just as many European trophies as us, DJB.
Hats off to them, man. Hats off to them. They do a job. It's that Ian Bowen. I said I'd love him at my club. So be aware, West Ham. New manager can come in and we can take Bowen from you. Don't worry about that.
I know DJB loves it. In fact, West Ham fans, I don't know, they say they hate Spurs, but for some reason They must hate us just as much because
they started hating us now as well. Newcastle, the same. Like, what's going on?
That's because we've got a crazy fan base. That's because we've got a pocket of fans that just like annoy people. They annoy me, so God knows how they annoy other fans.
we used to give West Ham a leftovers, didn't it? We used to give I'm not going to call Leah Brady a leftover, but he was an ex-Arsenal player when he went to West Ham. We gave him Nigel Winterburn, great player.
Ian Wright as well.
Ian
Wright as well. Got time for you, lot, man.
Went there in the twilight.
Zinchenko was off us if you want.
Morty went there as well. Lewis Beaumont.
Yeah, we used to do to West Ham what Chelsea do to us. We pass on when they've had their best years. We pass them on to West Ham.
Right.
Even I think Hartson did it. Did he go direct?
Hartson went to West Ham as well.
Yeah.
We've only taken one of their players. Normally, like their best players go to Spurs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all right. We're tap up old Danny Dyer and Bowen can go to us. You'll love it.
Oh, my last question for you guys before I let you lot get out of here. Yeah, like obviously we've got Real Madrid and we've indirectly spoken about it. Would you lot risk Saka if he's fit or anything close to it?
I had this question yesterday and I categorically said no. And the reason why I've said no is because he's not fit enough. He's not going to be fit. What you got to remember is when you're going into the Lions' Den against Real Madrid, it ain't like going in playing against, no disrespect, Southampton and Ipswich.
The biggest game for Saka and all these guys' careers so far at club level.
One of the biggest games of their career. So they're gonna want to push it that little bit more. And he ain't ready. He's not gonna have enough games under his belt to go into a game like Real Madrid.
Into saving from himself.
And someone said, why don't we give him minutes against Fulham and why don't we give him minutes? Giving him minutes against Fulham and giving him minutes against the league games building up to Real Madrid is still not going to be enough. It's still not going to be enough game time for the magnitude of Real Madrid.
And all our hopes are going to be on him as well for obvious reasons.
He'll break down.
Yeah,
he'll break down for the injury. For the injury that this guy's had. Those minutes leading up to Real Madrid is still not going to be enough. Now, we're talking about a player that is going to want to impress as soon as he against Real Madrid because he's one of the best players in Europe. He's going to want to impress, and he's not going to have the minutes, and he'll break down. So let's keep him away. Let's give him some minutes, perhaps towards the end of the season. Play him some reserve team games. And then get him fresh, ready to start for next season.
Just hold the L until next season. It is what it is. Let's just learn from our mistakes.
It really ain't. Because whether we play him against Real Madrid with a full team, we're probably not gonna beat Real Madrid over two legs. So potentially this guy could break down, and it means nothing.
If he plays, we're playing with 10 men. If he plays. The fact is that it'd be very selfish of our fan base to want him to play. It's going to be even more selfish of the player to actually say that he's ready when he's not.
Exactly. You have to look long term.
We've got to shoot your cat to this guy.
Exactly. Save him from himself.
For the last 2 years, we've worried about him getting injured and said that he's been overplayed. We can't just move the goalpost because we're in dire straits because we're playing Real Madrid. The fact is that people say, "Oh yeah, we're not doctors." If the medics say he's ready, he's not ready. Everyone knows medics. Their job is to do what the manager says. I tell you, tell me one footballer that hasn't played with an injury, and I'll tell you he's a liar.
Exactly.
Yeah. No.
Exactly.
He can't.
Like, if anything, maybe 20 minutes. But I'm scared for Bakal. What I don't want is a knock-on effect. For me, just accept that he's out. Next season we go again. Bring someone in.
But this is where the manager's got to start earning his merit, because he shouldn't be relying on Saka against Real Madrid. He should find other ways without Saka.
So we've got Marino up front, man.
We've got to find other ways.
This is madness.
There's not enough.
Marino gets Rudiger.
It's come round too quick. Real Madrid has come round too quick.
Way too quick. You don't laugh at cry, man.
No, but do you know what I'm saying? But you know, like these England players, when there's a World Cup coming up, And we've had England players out with injury.
Rooney many years ago.
And the debate is, do we take him? Do we take him to the World Cup? Do we take him?
Do you remember Metatarso?
Right?
Yeah.
And we've taken players for England and they've broken down or they've not played enough minutes. It's the same with Saka with Arsenal. He's not going to. Real Madrid has come round too early. He's not going to have enough game time.
What do you think, mate? It's 3 weeks away, that first leg, and 4 weeks away, the second leg. If anyone's going to tell me that he's going to be 100% fully fit and match fit in 3 weeks' time, they're absolutely batshit. There's only 2 Premier League games. I'm sorry. I've said this and I'll say this all the time. I don't know where we didn't get a shoulder injury. He's carried us for 4 years. Do you know what I mean? It's madness. We owe it to him.
Ben White's played with a hamstring injury going back a few years ago as well.
Boston, a fan talking. He's a very optimistic fan who's not thinking about long term. All he's thinking about is that he expects Saka to be as good as new and just as threatening when he plays. It's ridiculous to even play him.
You think as well, Kenny?
Go down, and the minute you out as a grade 3, most sensible fans thought, you know what, end of the season, don't want to see him. But a lot of fans are thinking, no. So if you look at a lot of players, right? I've seen players rush back from injury and they've had to retire from football. Do you remember who's the guy who Dean Ashton?
Yeah, his ankle got fused together.
Sean Wright finished in his duty. West Ham kept him rushing back. 2 years later,
the famous one.
He had to retire.
Yeah.
Same injury and all.
Michael Owen. Look at Aaron Ram. Look at Jack Wilshere.
Yeah.
Abu Diaby, Eduardo, they were all, and that's just in the Arsenal. They were never
injuries.
So the same people that want him rush back will get onto the same medical team for playing him, and they're saying something very different.
The only reason why a lot of fans want Saka back is so that they can have something to hold on to justify this manager want to win something.
Do you know what as well? Is if we go to the Bernabeu,
it's about
great player. And in fact,
they're
making was going to be a good player.
If we go to the Bernabeu as well, boys, say for argument's sake we draw or even get a cheeky little win, a little 1-0, he's going to expect Bukayo Saka to be bombing up and down that, because that game at the Bernabeu, if there's something to play for, they're going to be attacking the whole game.
You're going to have to do some defensive work, 100%.
Bombing up and down that field. Real Madrid are not going to care about Bukayo Saka and Arsenal. They're going to go in on him. He's going to have to do some yards, and that's no good.
And if you've all played football and you've got your star man coming onto the pitch, you think the opposition's going to give him an easy ride just because he's had
exactly. You're getting him out of there first 50-50.
Go over to him and take him straight out.
If man like DG's coming off the pitch against me, mate, I've got to batter him, man. I don't care if he's had a hamstring.
Exactly. Even if Saka's fit, we all know he's getting tripled up against, kicked from pillar to post. Rightly so. That's what you have to do, and he's going to be a marked man. It's crazy.
Exactly. You know, that's just the way it is. You know, the players on Real Madrid ain't going to look at Bukayo Saka and go, "Oh, poor lad, he's had an hamstring. We'll go easy on him." The guy's one of the best players in Europe. He's going to get.
They'll clatter him. The first thing they'll do, Rudiger or whoever, they'll just clatter him and go, I'm here now, and it'll be
as they should.
Yeah.
Marley's saying speculation is fully active. Well, speculation works both ways. We're speculating the extent of his injury, but Mikel Arteta is speculating on the fact that he's hoping he'll be ready for the Real Madrid game. That's different speculation, but it seems like you only prefer.
There's actually no guarantee we're going to see Saka in reality.
We've seen him push Thomas Partey and all of that while he's with injuries back on the field in Russian players. He's got a track record. He don't
it's not the time to be sentimental, I'm afraid.
He don't care about the players.
It's not the time to be sentimental. Yeah. You know, it really ain't. You got to make sure that he's fully fit for next season.
Just wish we had the depth, because could you imagine if we genuinely felt we was going to win the Champions League and the Premier League in this period we was kind of still in it. This is why we need bigger depth.
But DJ, this is when it comes down. This is when it comes down to that this manager, after 5 years, should have had a replacement, a suitable placement for the money he spent. Should have had a suitable replacement for Bukayo Saka, and then this conversation would not even be aired. If you had a suitable placement for Bukayo Saka, We wouldn't worry about Bukayo Saka going in, whether he's going to be fit enough for Real Madrid. Yeah, would be cool. That's all right. Let Saka stay on the bench. Let him get fully recovered because we've got man like whoever.
Marino's up front, man. And Marino, we trust set pieces all the way to the final.
I mean,
Marino next Rudiger.
Yeah. You know what? As well, one of the things was in 2002 we had Robert Pires out for a long time, but the only difference is, and we obviously won the double that year. When Bobby was out, we still had match winners like Henry, Bergkamp, Ljungberg, all chipping in with goals. This year, what we got, Saka's out, and you've got Martinelli's whose forms fell off a cliff and into an.
And he's still got 6 goals, Martinelli. So he's still one of our top goal scorers, which again goes back to the summer.
All I'm saying to a lot of the Arsenal fans is right. The next game against Fulham, have a look at the bench. Don't look at our starting 11. Look at the bench, and this is 5 years, guys. 5 years. Have a look at the bench against Fulham. That's all I'm saying. And it will tell you all you need to know where we are as a club.
And this is the thing,
I've seen men like Ljungberg and people like that come off the bench.
We need a squad, especially in today's day and age, where you've got like the manager always says, the best players play about 70 games. We've got 38 Prem games, let alone however much little comps. He always says we want to compete for 4 trophies, and then he also says we've got one of the smallest squads.
But he's had enough winners. He's had enough winners and enough money to build that squad.
And this is where my patience with everyone.
I love RM. He dunks him and Rudiger in the Euros, Kenny Ken. Don't dismiss him.
Well, you never know. You never know.
I won't dismiss him, but
optimism.
Let's see him over 180 minutes.
We will see. We will see against Madrid. We will see.
He actually came on in the midfield and scored from a set piece, if my memory serves me right.
Kenny, you know this club, mate. You know what's going to happen. If we do get through Madrid, we'll lose to Villa over 2 legs or PSG.
Oh, mate.
You know what we've got to do? We got to think about, forget Real Madrid. We've got a bloody hard game against Fulham because we tend to struggle against teams that have a genuine number centre forward.
They've had a number in the last couple of years.
They're a good manager.
Fulham have got 3 centre forwards. They've got Muniz and Jimenez. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so they're a good team. No, they've done.
And then when we play Brentford, in between the first and second leg, they got 2 goals. 2 guys. They got Mbeumo scored 15 league goals, and they got Wizards scored 14 league goals. Players who can keep ourselves occupied. So it's not going to be easy.
No, but this is what I'm saying. I mean, another question you need to ask yourself as well. If you had man like what Thomas Frank has done with Brentford Football Club, okay, he's made them an established Premiership team.
With a brand of football as well.
I watched them non-league not so many years ago, right? Brentford. Areola, what he's done with Bournemouth, where they are. What Silva's done at Fulham, right? Ask yourself this. If you'd have given these managers 5 years and all that money at a club like Arsenal, what would they have done? What would
fair conversation. It's a fair conversation, man. For me, we just need to deliver.
This is what you got to ask yourself. So when you praise Arteta and Arteta's this and he's done this and he's done that, ask yourself this: what would men like Thomas Frank, Areola, Silva, people like that?
You know what it is? I don't think they'll get a chance because you know what will happen. You know how it works with those managers. It depends on the players they inherit. It's whether they get respect. You look at
depends if the fans, some fans fancy them or not, man.
Yeah, but you look at the guy. Look at Espirito Santo.
He's doing well at Forest.
Yeah, but look what happened at Spurs for him when he was at Spurs. He couldn't get his message across to high level players. It didn't work out. Sometimes it's just as much a risk, not appointing them, but it's a risk in appointing them as well because if you've got arrogant dressing rooms, looking at them and goes, "Oh bloody hell, I'm not a Bournemouth player, mate. I'm the top player. How are you going to motivate me?" Sometimes it didn't work. Like Bruce Willock when he came to us from Bolton,
clearly not really.
Because players like Ian Wright weren't having him. Ian Wright,
he signed a great man, didn't he? He didn't.
Yeah,
Bruce Willock didn't sign man like
as well.
You think about it, players like Paul Merson, players like what's his name, Ian Wright, weren't having Bruce Rioch.
No.
Tony Adams was too busy. We now know on the path to destruction.
Yeah.
To actually help Bruce Rioch in the dressing room.
Yeah, no,
That's what happens.
It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one, guys. Really difficult.
We can't counter attack for 180 minutes to be doing the super chat against Real Madrid, man. If I had more faith in across the two legs, we got to get something at the Emirates. I just think it's a psychological battle at the Bernabeu. Like it depends. It really depends.
Arsenal have to win at the Emirates. Have a chance of winning, getting to the semi-final. If they don't win at the Emirates, then they can forget it.
That first goal is vital, because if Real Madrid score that first goal, they'll go two ways. They'll either do a low block, knowing that they're going to do us at the Bernabeu. 1-0 is probably good enough for Real Madrid.
Yeah, look, Real Madrid, we got to score in the first half an hour against Real Madrid and turn them and make it and put them under a lot of pressure.
Learn our lesson from the Bayern Munich two legs as well.
Then, Man City scored early against them. Man City went 2-1 up.
Yeah,
that Real Madrid nicked it at the last minute, where Mbappe scored for a miss kick. He scored a win for a miss kick.
They just get over the line, though, don't they, Ken?
Yeah, man. They just got that Champions League voodoo.
Yeah, they just know how to do it, don't they?
Yeah, they do. But as I said, I think all we want is just a chance. I don't want a PSV situation.
Compete, man.
Yeah, I just want to go into the second leg with a chance. I don't want to get embarrassed. I just want to go in with a chance. And
I think we've got to win. If you think about the Bayern Munich game, we scored that early goal, and then Bayern Munich took control of the game, and then we Trossard got the equaliser. But you always had one eye open when you went to the second leg. You always thought,
and we got stage fright in the second leg.
Other than that, we've done nothing.
Yeah.
We've had stage fright too many times under this manager. It's too many times.
Even going back to the Porto game as well, when we obviously won on penalties. But
I'll even go back recently.
Porto ruined us.
St James Park Carabao Cup.
Yeah,
absolutely. Talk about stage fright. That place was rocking.
No, but someone in the chat said we got to the quarterfinals. It's great, man. Or the semis or whatever. Like, it's great.
Okay,
yeah, but it's not enough.
And this is the difference between certain sections of fans.
Yeah, I haven't got a problem if that's the standard as an Arsenal fan that you wanna carry on with semi-finals, quarterfinals, finishing runners up. If that's your standard supporting Arsenal, fine. My standards are different. I want to win trophies.
The quarterfinals are lowest.
Semi-finals. All it does is lead to foundation. You look at Chelsea; their record in Europe, in the Champions League, and in European competitions. To win those competitions they won, they got to a few semi-finals, but that was always the building block. You think about it. A few semi-finals here and there, and then against the odds in 2012, they won it against the Man City side, superstar side. Pep. Sorry to anyone who's got mental health problems, but I'm going to use this word because I think it's actually relevant. In that final in 2021 in Porto, Pep self-harmed with his team selection. Anyone who knows football looked at his team selection. Are you, like you could say, are you bloody mad? When I saw his team selection, I just looked at it. Are you off your head? You signed all your
genius,
defense in there, and you signed you played all attacking players without a defender. Oh my God! If Chelsea scored this, all they got to do is put men behind the ball. What happened? Havertz.
Yeah. Havertz. We have a match winner.
We just have to pray and hope, man. I can't lie, guys. This has been fantastic, man. Let people know they can find you free, broskies. Well, no, let people know they can find you, man.
Yeah,
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
You
can find me around the streams. I've got no channel or social media at the moment, but you can find me around the streams because these great people like yourself, DG, and Aaron's channel. I'm forever grateful for coming on your channel.
Man, I'm grateful for you being there, man.
I haven't got nothing in place at the moment, but perhaps in the future I will get something up and running. always a pleasure with Kenny Ken. Me and Kenny Ken have become like brothers now. I mean,
Yeah, mate.
we're everywhere, mate, aren't we?
We do like an old school show where we talk about Arsenal's greatest ever team.
Yeah, Jez as well. Please lock into that, because that's our show that we got up and Kenny on a Tuesday with the great Jezza History Channel.
Perfect show, you three, perfect.
Yeah, and before anyone complains, yes, I have got no problem putting Adebayor in one of our better strikers, because I do think that Adebayor, if he... Oh, I'm going to say something that's going to really boil your piss, you guys in the chat. And I'm going to do it right now. Adebayor was better than Aubameyang. Now go away, digest that. Go away, digest that.
I don't think that's criminal, you know.
DJ, look at DJ. DJ's like, he's like, whoa.
I'm thinking about it. I don't think it's criminal.
You guys in the chat.
I admit, I'll hold my hands up.
I'm going with Aubameyang, but I don't think it's criminal. I thought it was going to be something more. I don't think that's that criminal.
It's not. I've got another one that's going to boil your piss. Nicholas Nelk was better than them as well. So go away.
That's not bad. That's definitely
not bad. Everything you can say about me controversial, and call me all the names when I come back on here.
Pretty logical shout, to be fair.
Nelka was unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Nelka was just fantastic. Yeah, brilliant. Unfortunately, he wasn't there long enough to see the real potential.
When we used to be able to replace strikers.
He had other things in him that was unfortunately sidetracking the man. But
Kenny said it yesterday though, and it was a fantastic point when I was listening to that old school show. He said if he had a mentality of a little bit older, we wouldn't have signed Thierry Henry.
No, we
wouldn't. Funny how life works.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Talent's only one thing, drives another.
Exactly.
A lot of footballers. You look at Myles Lewis-Skelly. He's built like a man, but he's 18. He's probably getting his mum, to Sky Plus Waterloo Road.
Probably still making him fish fingers.
All that money we spent on left backs, and we had Lewis-Skelly.
No, I never said. I never said Lucas Perez is better than Aubameyang. Don't lie, SLD.
Yeah, he's lying on your name, man. I don't think anyone would say that.
Oh, no. Yeah, whoever watches the history, next week is going to be So you'll see me around, DG. Thank you very much for having me on as usual.
Nah, man, you're always welcome, man.
Thank you to the listeners. As I said, I only come on and state facts. I don't come on to wind people up. I don't come on to be argumentative. I don't come on to upset anyone. I respect all the communities, everyone, all backgrounds. And all I do is say it as it is. I'm like the Simon Jordan of the Arsenal world, I'm afraid.
I like that one.
So who's Martin Keown then? Martin
Keown, he's
drinking the positive Kool-Aid Keown.
He was arguing with himself, wasn't he, Martin?
He was, He was
Only Martin, isn't it?
No, that's a big up. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Come on, Aaron. Where can they find you?
Yeah, man. First off, big up. It's a nice little surprise for letting me jump on. Massively enjoyed it, man. Always enjoy talking to the boys as well. I've been privileged enough to be on numerous streams with Kenny and DJB, and I always love it. Talking to proper Arsenal fans who's been there and done it all. If you like what I say, I'm at Aaron Talks Arsenal on YouTube. Come over. Give us a little cheeky follow.
Come on, and all their info will be in the bio. I'll get the lads back next week. You lot appreciate you giving up your time. Hopefully, there's more positive things that we're concerned. Come on, in a bit, guys. Big up.